bring in the fantasy, the play, the dom, the kink, like, yeah, all of it, bring it in. But none of that can ever take you as far as true intimacy, like truth.
Welcome to the Boo School Podcast,
A place we come to meet the mystery.
an invitation into our deepest, most intimate moments.
Behind the scenes conversations that have never been shared before.
Buckle up.
Enjoy the ride.
We're live.
We're live.
Welcome to the Boocast. So, what is our intention for this long-awaited podcast that we've been on our own journey with birthing, bringing to life?
To bring you behind the scenes into our most intimate conversations, as if you were like a fly on the wall, just listening.
Or in bed with us.
In the shower, in all moments. There's so many. Orrin and I have the best conversations that never get brought forward, and I feel like some of our best, juiciest moments are really happening behind the scenes. So that's the intention of this very long awaited, perfectly arriving podcast. It's for you.
And I feel like the way that it's for the people is by way of it truly being for us in the deepest sense. There's so many ways to inspire, which, like, my intention is to inspire, to awaken, to transform, to empower people, right? And to connect. And I feel like of all the different ways that we can do that as humans, as teachers, as coaches, as people who are even in the realm of transforming and elevating people's lives, I feel like one of the rarest categories is when it gets the most intimate, when you're not trying, you know. This is very true in the realm of art as well. Some of the greatest art comes from when the art is for you. The art is your own medicine. The art is transforming you, and then you share it with the world. You bring the audience into the intimacy of that, which is different, not better or worse. It's different than, like, I'm teaching this thing. You know, I feel like the teaching naturally comes from being in this intimacy.
Something that you have taught me a long time ago, like, there's this thing that happens when a camera gets pulled out. There's an energetic shift that takes place, and yeah, just feeling the invitation to drop the identity, the mask, the role of teacher, the role of, oh, we need to deliver something powerful and potent and bring something every single time, and, you know, bring the medicine. It's like, no, there's something about just, like, it feels energetic to me, like unveiling the curtain and being like, come and be with us. And, you know, there's going to be moments where we're like literally in our sweats and we're just like, we got to pull it out and record right now. And
Pull it out.
we got to pull the camera out and the mics out and get this. And or we might be in a car. You know, I think that's one of the other elements, just speaking to what's been such a journey for us in getting this out there, like this happening for the world, is the constant travel and transition that we've been in. And we're going to go deeper into this, but having our home burned down a couple months ago, you know, we were so excited. We actually started recording finally, and then the home burned down. And one of the things that's been happening is we've been like, okay, well, once we have a studio or a setup, or we're in a location where we can continue to record, and it's been this conditional aspect around the podcast that's actually held us back. And we just said, fuck it. We're going to record no matter where we are, no matter how perfect it is, no matter what it feels like, no matter, you know, what's happening, and just give ourselves to this. Give ourselves to this. Do it messy, do it raw, do it unprofessional, do it however it wants to be done, because it wants to happen.
And those are gems right there for living an extraordinary life. Especially, I feel like, for the times that we're in with all the chaos and change and shifts and amount of unknowns and uncertainty that are existing on this planet right now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this way of being that we're describing as our journey is is actually something to take note of,
Mm-hmm.
right? Call it surrender, going with the flow, listening to spirit. There's something so potent of an invitation that's existing on this planet right now
Yeah.
to surrender. And I think that there's many ways that that expresses as authenticity, as
Mm-hmm.
intimacy, as spontaneity,
Mm-hmm.
and not being so prepared, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we're so busy preparing for life that we miss life.
Yeah. Something that I learned really powerfully through the fires was how much of my service and my art and my creation and my love, even for Oren, was under this conditional basis. And it got obliterated. And it really showed me that there are absolutely no circumstances for me that or conditions that can actually keep me from giving myself fully to God, to the moment, to love. And so this podcast has been something that we have been so excited about creating for such a long time, but it's been such a conditional thing. And at the end of the day, it's like, no, this is the thing that we want to do the most. And we're going to bust through all limitations, rules, regulations, ideas, whatever we think it needs to be, and just create for the sake of creating. Do for the art, y'all.
Yes. And the art is from the heart.
The heart.
The art is from the heart. It is. It is. I feel like, especially, I'll add to the chaos and the change. Like, we're in a technological age, which is rapidly accelerating information,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is can be amazing, and at the same time, it can also reinforce us living primarily in our intellect and our mind.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this dual thing happening
Mm-hmm.
there. And so the art being from the heart, the art happens, the purest art.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I won't say purest because that sounds like what is pure and what's impure. The the art that moves us
Mm-hmm.
happens when we're moved.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are moved by people who are moved,
Mm-hmm.
right? And whether that looks like inspiration or it looks like vulnerability and I'm a hot mess, when
Mm-hmm.
we allow that to express itself without judgment, then it carries a frequency that actually speaks to other hearts,
Mm-hmm.
that actually speaks to people's souls.
Yeah. I also think there's such a permission in creation. I think that many souls resonate with being artists in one capacity or another, and there's such a perfectionism that gets put around that, around creating, whether it's creating a podcast or a masterpiece or an album or poetry or like anything that you want to create in this world. And I feel like we again put these limitations on what it needs to be and how it needs to look, and the art just wants to be birthed in its most raw and wild and messy form. So for anyone that's a witness and listening to this, if there's something that's been gestating and it's like in the field of creation and it's like, I'll wait till I feel this way or I have the right conditions or it feels like the right time or I have the resources or whatever that is, just the invitation to give yourself fully to that thing, because it takes up so much energetic space when it's just hanging out in the background and it's like, I'm your dream. I'm here. There's so much energy inside of that that can be liberated. I feel that in this already. It's happening for us. It's like this
Mm-hmm.
is something that we've been so excited about.
I feel like art, creativity, our calling, these are all lifelines to God. So they are literally a source of life for us. And in that sense, when we're not allowing the manifestation of our dreams, when we're not allowing ourselves to follow the calling, when we're not allowing the birthing of the art unconditionally, we are literally dying without our dreams. And I think that, and this is something that we'll talk more about in the fire episode, but I feel like we're just in an interesting time to when we need our dreams the most. Sometimes is the most difficult time to live them, right? And they get put in the back burner, on the back burner, put in the sock drawer for, one day, the perfect day, once we have enough, or once we think we have the capacity to fulfill the art, to fulfill the calling, to go after the dream. And there's something just so, it's just so wild, and sometimes we don't realize this until we're at the razor's edge, the point where it seems the most difficult, the most inconvenient. And this is why I was referencing the fire and the first day that we found out that our house burned down, and you had to make a decision whether or not you were going to fulfill the programs, the prophecy that you had slated to do. And it's one of those moments where it's like, wow, all like everything's been uprooted. And at the same time, the presence of the calling of service and the ability to actually read that and transcend maybe the limitations of our mind or emotion. That's like, I can't, I have nothing, whatever. I don't have the energy. I don't have anything good to say, whatever the mind might
Yeah.
say there.
I mean, I didn't have any thoughts like that at all. Yeah, exactly. There was literally no thought at all. And I think that speaking of a lifeline or something that I feel like was such a revelation for me, and also something that I'd been praying for, was to feel myself and my service and my purpose so deeply, and to give myself to something greater, to be emptied so fully that whatever moved through me was so clear. And it was really beautiful in that moment to feel a true experience of, this isn't about me or how I feel or the circumstances around me. Our home just burned down. I'm in a total state of, trauma. And simultaneously, what moved through me was so beyond me. It was absolutely God. And I delivered what I feel is probably one of the most profound transmissions of my entire life through that experience, because it was just like, there's no thought, there's no mind, there's no nothing. There's nothing. And yeah, it was a really beautiful moment to feel that. And it's one of the things that sparked this of like, oh, we're doing the podcast now.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter where we are. It doesn't matter what's happening in the world, because there's always going to be something that's happening. But I got to really be a witness to that, and just to see what moved through in that space was so profound and so special and so deep and so clear. And it's like when we can really give ourselves to that transmission, to that voice, what carries us is so far beyond us, and it becomes so much more about the service and the art and the gift than about how we're feeling, our humans are feeling.
Yeah, you were on fire. I was moved by you being moved. I could feel it when you were in the session, and then when you came out of it, I was like, talk about Phoenix. You were like just so on fire and so rooted in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was inspiring. And I feel like art, service, and relationship are three things I'll say that really our souls or in God is always going to be calling us into the unconditional service of being unconditional with our art, being unconditional in relationship.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that's one of the I feel like that's one of the secrets to our relationship. And I think it, I don't want to overgeneralize it by just saying, oh, well, we unconditionally love each other. You know what I mean? Like, we do, but like in action, we do. And I do think that there's some elements that we can unpack there, because it's part of the secret sauce that goes beyond, any particular practice or any particular mindset or like way of thriving in relationship. Is there's a secret sauce beneath the secret sauce.
Yeah.
And it is this environment of unconditional. For example, neither one of us has any investment in any desire to restrain each other's feelings. And so you notice we don't battle like you shouldn't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that can be such a force of tension in relationship. I know it has been for me, of just like feeling. And so I feel like we have an unspoken agreement there that creates an unconditional environment for something that is core to being able to feel seen and to
Mm-hmm.
feel free and to feel loved in a relationship, is just not being made wrong for how you feel,
Mm-hmm.
not controlling your feelings, not trying to control someone else's feelings. You know what I mean? I feel like that you could call it a mindset, and it's something that you can practice. It's definitely something you can affirm, but it is part of the unconditionalness, and it's
Mm-hmm.
part of what also creates a safety, and so I feel like then my service to you, it's why I can be in service to your soul selflessly,
Mm-hmm.
not at the expense of myself, but selflessly, like whatever your soul needs truly is a yes.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if I'm comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just a yes. And I think that's one of the most challenging things in relationship, is to be in unconditional service to the other's heart, to the other's soul, to the other's mission. And often it's the relationship that can get, our idea of the relationship that can get in the way of being in unconditional service in that way, which is the same thing with the art. It's like as soon as you have an audience, you have a business, you're getting paid for it or something, then it's like these are where the conditions can come in.
Yeah, I mean, we're in relationship with all of life, so this can apply to any relationship that you have, but I would say your most intimate relationships are the space where you could see this the most. And, I'm grateful for Oren. We have very similar values. We both have boundlessness in our gene keys, and so we appreciate feeling free in our relationship. And that does not mean that we're polyamorous. We're not.
I would
We're,
say beyond appreciating it, it's a non-negotiable.
yeah, yeah. And simultaneously within that, that extends all the way into feeling, sensation, desire. We created this awareness really early on in our relationship. We realized that there was this force field, our love, our union, right? This teaching that the field of love holds it all. And so it's like when you imagine that your relational field has almost like a toroidal field moving through it, the
Mm-hmm.
field of your union that's moving through you, that when the love is flowing, it's this like really beautiful energetic frequency that's allowing energy to pulse through, that's allowing life, creation, God, energy, love, everything just to pulse through it. Simultaneously, that what that means is that when something comes up in the relationship, whether it's like a feeling, a sensation, some conflict, a trigger, a moment, it gets the love essentially allows it to integrate all the way in, and it disintegrates. It like moves it almost like a vacuum. It like pulls it in and it loves it, and then it like purifies it all the way through. And it's so special. And it reminds me of what we're talking about with like these conditions within service, because I feel like if you almost imagine that similar aspect around your business or your art or something that you want to create, just imagining like the field of love, the field of God, the field of truth within whatever we're creating, whatever relational field we're existing inside of, holds all of it. So it all gets to exist. These conditions that we have placed, they are not against our art. They actually can be utilized as fuel and as energy and as resource and as a gift. It's part of it. It's part of the process. It's part of the gift to like bring that element in so that it can actually become part of the field. It like adds more life force if we know how to work with it.
Mm, that's deep. This is true. I want to talk a little bit more about the field, because we say that word often and it's has such a deep meaning to us. It's this field of love. It's intelligent. It's infinite. And it's why like love can hold it all. God can hold it all. The heart can hold it all. Our minds, our ego minds, our identities, that which exists in duality, can't hold it all, which is why there can be like a me versus you thing, or there's your desire, my desire, and this kind of conflict or competition, or your big feeling and my big feeling, right? So I think there's another thing that we both do, and I'm sure we've cultivated this over years, is we're devoted to this field that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Each of us on our own are devoted. Like, I'm devoted to love,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that devotion, I feel like devotion is something you surrender yourself to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, commitment is like, I'm trying to make a distinction here. Commitment is something you give yourself fully to. I feel like devotion is this transcendent energy because it's
Mm-hmm.
something you surrender to.
Yep.
So it's not like things may not come up, fears or triggers or feelings, or and it's the and. It's like and God, I'm here. And love, I'm here. Ultimately, no matter what I'm saying, I'm telling you, I want you.
Yeah.
I want the truth. And truth is one of those things, like God, like love. If you truly want it above all else, then it becomes a more prominent force in serving you.
Mm-hmm.
Because that doesn't mean you're always in the truth. It just means that you're saying, look, truth, I know I might hide from you sometimes. I might act like I don't want you. I might be like, oh my God, eh, eh, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, I want the truth more than I want anything.
Mm-hmm.
I want that love and to calibrate with it more than anything. And I feel like we both have that. And it's one of the reasons why we don't spend long periods of time in conflict, because no matter what we're saying, we want the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought this up because this entire experience, everything, the way that Oren and I live our lives, and so much of what we'll be sharing through the podcast, when you're getting the more behind the scenes moments of our lives, the truth is that Oren and I live in this like leading edge of the field. We're in a constant relationship, connection, listening, attuning, refining to the field, what Oren's talking about, the field, the emergent field, the field that we would call the energetic web that is our lives, the intelligent field that is always around us and always serving us and always moving through us. And if we're actually listening, then we can give ourselves to it. And we see every moment within the field as perfectly designed. So even when there's conflict within our relationship, or something comes up in the business, or something comes up, with our house burning down, like this is such a great example. One of the reasons why we were able to move through that so powerfully without bypassing was because we knew on a soul core level that it was designed for us. It was an acceleration of our path, not an obstacle, not a setback, not something that was being taken from us. And we meet every moment of our lives, our relationship, our business, our service that way. And so we trust the field because we trust God. And in the same way, when something comes up in the relationship, we meet it that way. It's like, oh, this is actually here. We like to say it's not a problem, it's a portal. So look at
Mm.
that through every facet of our lives, whether it's within our relationship or anything else. It's like, oh, something's coming up that feels like it should be edgy, and it's bringing up a lot of sensation, and it's like, this sucks. It's like, oh, no, 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 this is designed for me. This is designed for us. This is designed for us to work within this, to offer it and bring it into the field to, again, it's a portal into more love. It's a portal into more creation. It's a portal into more art. It's a portal into whatever it is that our souls collectively and individually are asking for. So you'll hear us talk about the field a lot because this is one of my favorite things about Oren. We serve the emergent field that is our lives. We live right at that leading edge consistently, really, really beautifully. And I love being in a relationship with somebody who lives that way. We
Mm-hmm.
don't plan out a lot. People are always like, what? You don't have a 5-year plan, or you don't even know we're about to travel. And we love to actually be in the listening of where God is inviting us.
So speaking of our leading edge, I'd love to illuminate something actually on both of our ends, right? Because when we talk about being tuned into, being surrendered to love and surrendered to the service that exists in our hearts that is wanting to be given to the other, right? Which is our responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, that's my responsibility. What's moving in my heart and my spirit for you, connected to you, synchronistically connected to and in resonance with you, is my is mine. It's my responsibility. So one of the things I would love to illuminate or chat about here is the I often say that the divine masculine is inexhaustible. The divine feminine is insatiable, and that's a match made in heaven, right? And my capacity to demonstrate, to fulfill on this inexhaustible stream of the divine masculine, which is God, source energy, right, is something that I surrender to.
Mm-hmm.
What it looks like in a practical sense is whatever Boo wants authentically, truly, your heart, your soul, your desire, like truly is something resonating with truth in your soul. I'm just like, yes, yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm saying yes to is you. And that's the unconditional service. That's the unconditional service of God. My surrender to that is what allows me to be in the stream of it. And it does not come without its own challenges. And I actually thought about you first because, the feminine has an inexhaustibility too, because the feminine stream is also infinite,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's kind of a different flavor. And with you, I feel like I don't feel like, I know that one of the points of expansion to unlock more of your inexhaustible service to me
Mm-hmm.
is disappointment, right? The portal of disappointment, right? Which is, by the way, I would say, side note, is probably more consistently the deepest masculine wound, which is I'm not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I doing enough? Which is why it's hard for many men, including me sometimes, to be like, yes, my love, and just like saying yes to the feminine. Because like, am I enough? Do I have enough power? Do I have enough strength? What if I can't fulfill it? What if I can't take care of the family? You know what I mean? Whatever that is. So it's interesting because I've experienced, and I'll let you speak on it, that you're not wanting to disappoint me has been its own portal of expansion.
Oh, 1,000%. It was like probably the biggest. It's the biggest one that definitely can take me out a little bit sometimes. And yeah, it's a, core wound over here of feeling like I'm doing something wrong. And then the fear deeper than that is if I'm not doing it right, I will be abandoned. So if I don't do whatever it is, which it's like wild, it's like it could be one thing that it's like the tiniest thing. I'm trying to think of like the most recent thing. I think it happened yesterday.
Yeah, we were heading somewhere and you asked me a question, and I like to share deep, meaningful. And as I was sharing my experience, you just said like, "Oh, how was the beach?" Right? And I just went on a whole journey because my life is a journey. So I'm like, that's a deep question, right? I'm like, "Oh, the water was great.
Yeah.
The sun was shining." And so as was sharing, I felt my body I was just like, I don't feel like sharing right now. I don't feel like you're fully present. Oh, no, I started sharing. Here's what it was. I started sharing before I shared with the beach. I said, well, one of the things that I've been feeling is my energy wants to be utilized more. And I was sharing how that felt to me. So it was like a moment of contrast, right? I was like, oh yeah, everything's going great here, but like there's this thing that's been oscillating through where I'm like, I feel like my energy's not flowing or not being utilized as much as I'd like it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a good feeling. So I was in a not good feeling, and I was sharing that from my heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, anytime I feel Oren's not in a good feeling, I feel responsible. It's the disappointment piece. It's a big one. And so it like will shake me out sometimes. And the interesting thing about it is that I can't be of the highest service to the moment or actually be in the listening when then I'm processing my own experience. So yeah, I think the invitation that I work with within that, because I'm so aware of that pattern at this point,
Mm-hmm.
is to not make it about me, to not make it about how I'm feeling because it's about how you're feeling, but to also, again, remember the field of love holds it all. So, how can I expand the sensation and the bigness in the moment of how it's feeling big enough to hold my sensation and Oren's and us at the same time? That's always the invitation, is like to breathe into that. Now, in the moment, that's the real practice is practicing that in the moment. But it's how can I allow this sensation that we're both carrying to be big enough for both of us to hold mine, to hold him, to hold us, and then give it to the field of love to do more of the work. Like, I don't have to figure this out. I don't need to fix this right now. I don't need to, get right to the core. It's like, give it some space to breathe, allow the field that we've cultivated over the years of our relationship to do most of the heavy lifting for us. Give it to the field of love, be present with him and his sensation without needing to change it, and simultaneously be present with my feelings as well. It's a big one, but lean in.
Yeah, I think there's just so much juice in what you just shared and in this process, because it's like, well, first of all, practically, like what we did to move through to navigate the moment was we presence what was happening. It's like, oh, okay, there's like this two things are happening at the same time now. I basically says like, oh, I said you're feeling bad because I feel bad. And then I was like, and that's okay. See, that's okay is the field. It's like it can hold it all. It's not like, well, how could you feel bad? I'm on stage right now. This is about me. It's like okay, it's like, yes, I'm feeling this way and you are too. And that's okay. And like on the practical tip, we decided, I said, well, I don't want to force this conversation and the sharing of my heart when the space is not here for it right now. That's okay. Let's bookmark it for later. All right. So that's what we did practically, just as an FYI. But I want to highlight that part of the reason, like inside of the bad feeling of you feeling disappointed, what you're feeling is the tension between you and your true self, the tension between you and God, the tension between, right? Because the thing is, like, you're meaning the true you that's existing right below the distorted,
The tension between you and God. That's good.
that's a bar.
I'm gonna keep that in my back pocket for the next time I'm feeling really intense. The sensation is the tension between me and God.
Yeah, I mean that to say it's like, because the identity, the mind, the thought, right, that they're in, like disappointment, this is what it means about me, all of this, it's like thought forms, right? Tries to convince you that, oh, I don't know how to help you feel better. But it's aiming for a mission that it can't complete, because it's not just trying to like love me, serve me, it's trying to prove its worth, right? So that's why it can't serve. But what's ironic and interesting is, like, right below the surface, your feminine wisdom, I mean, I can say this in so many different ways. It's like your true self, you do know exactly how to be with me. It's actually effortless. And to generalize it a bit in the context of feminine and masculine, it's the thing that's most impactful to the masculine usually is the thing that is most effortless to the feminine. In fact, so effortless that sometimes the feminine misses it and is trying, like, how can I serve you? How can I help you? How can I help you feel better, when with the masculine in the purest sense, and a lot of men don't even, I'm just saying men and women right here, or myself, it's me and you, but a lot of men don't know what they need, especially if they're already in their head, which they are on some level if there is a conflict, right? And so they don't necessarily think to be like, oh, hey, the way that you can help me is to just be. Just be your natural, effortless, feminine, unconditional presence, and that is the absolute best thing you can do. They don't know to ask, and sometimes the feminine, or females and their feminine, don't know just how profoundly simple and effortless it is to be of the highest service. It's not a thing. So if you're like, I'm trying to be, or I don't know, or how can I serve you, That's why when you ask me that sometimes you're like, well, what can I do? It's just like you're already off of what you already know.
Yeah, I really appreciated yesterday. I was feeling, there was the tension in the moment. We were late for an appointment. I felt like there wasn't space to fully receive Oren, and I just want to like also speak to this for anyone who has children because it's like I can't remember who was saying something to me the other day where they're like, yeah, there's no time in relationship after you have children for like hour-long processes. It's like
Right.
out the window. And it's not that there needs to be an hour-long process, but even just I was like wanting to distill or like to dissolve the tension, and Oren was like, you're in your head. And just the moment he says that to me, and it's like triggering, to hear that as a woman.
With so much love, though.
Yeah, so much love, but it's that moment that I'm like, right, I'm trying to fix this. My job is not to fix this. It's to be present. It's to be fully present and to receive everything that's happening and to be present with it. Not to change it, not to fix it. That's not my job.
And especially with the masculine who's already always trying to fix things,
Yeah.
including themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a good moment. As soon as you said that, I was like, okay, pause, presence, slow down, bookmark. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good one.
So I said I would speak to this edge for me, which I feel like is super subtle because I'm pretty fearless with my love and trusting of my inner guidance. I would say for me in the last 6 months and definitely through the fires, but if I were to try to describe the leading edge specifically of unconditional service, unconditional love, and you know taking care of you, protecting you, providing for you, being the masculine essentially. The edge is the extension of my faith, right? Which is my inner knowing, which is a different type of strength. There is obvious, the most obvious type of strength is physical because it's physical. It's like, let me carry your bag, right? The next where it starts to get a bit more subtle is like, I would say like almost mental, like belief, like, hey, I know I can take care of you. I know I can protect you. I know I can provide because I have this knowledge of how to do that and I have a bank of experience to draw on. And maybe you also have seen me do it, right? So there's another level of strength, right? And that, what I'm saying is that in connection to God and unconditional love and unconditional service, those are the easier dimensions to demonstrate strength, to transfer that to you. Where it gets more challenging, I would say this is for everybody, all men, including myself, is when I am resting in a faith and I have no evidence. And not only do I have no evidence, but when we're in a moment where I'm like, I got you, trust me, specifically when you're feeling the most afraid, the most uncertain, the most like sensitive to provision, to be able to stand in that I got you energy when I have nothing to point to. I can't say I got you because I know how to do this thing, or I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and something that your brain can understand and that my brain can understand. Because that's something that you can rest in. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I've got you. I've got $1 million deal coming through tomorrow. I found a house. I got you. It's explainable.
Thanks for sharing that, babe. It's making me emotional
Aw.
just to feel, yeah, and just feeling that.
Mm. I'm glad you feel it.
Yeah, thank you. Sometimes I forget that you have your own moments because you're so solid You're so solid. Thank you for this.
You're welcome. Thanks for receiving and like reflecting that back to me. It's one thing to consciously be like, you know what? I'm feeling fear, I'm feeling doubt, and right now I'm not going to speak to it. I'm not going to share it because it's not actually in the best interest of this moment, right? But for me, and this is, I'm saying this because you just reflected that to me, it's not even like I thought that. But when I really feel into it, I think that it's the wisdom of God that is moving me. So it's almost like it's beyond thought. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just in the stream of that wisdom and I'm not sharing certain things. And I think that also comes from, it's one thing to have fear or doubt, but when I have knowing and I have God, I'm not actually experiencing a lack there, if that makes sense. So I'm still connected to the knowingness that all is well and that all is well with me, all is well with us. And so I'm not managing it either is what I'm saying. I'm not like managing my fear or my doubt, you know? So it's literally the way that it feels is like just being on the razor's edge and this inclusion that we're talking about where it's like, oh, there's my feeling and your feeling, the field can hold it all. I'm so devoted, surrendered to the field that anything that arises in me, it's more of like God's already holding it. Do you feel what I'm saying? And I think to your point, that's also why it may seem like nothing's coming up because I'm not like resisting anything.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And I got to witness this really deeply when the fires happened. It was like you were so unshakable and unbreakable. And I know you felt your emotions and all your sensations around it. You know, you really did. I felt you in that. And simultaneously, there was such a faith moving through you. And there's been so many moments since then where I've collapsed in your arms crying and been like, I'm so afraid. Where are we going to live? What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? What are we being called into? Because it wasn't just the fire that burned down. Oh, our entire idea of what we were creating, who we were being, how we were serving, our business, like everything got put up for review. And so it wasn't just like, oh, where are we going to live? It was, oh, and now how do we want to show up and serve? How are we going to create financial resource? Knowing that we can in whatever way we want to, but truly, how do we want to do that with the highest integrity of where we're being called? And so, yeah, I remember like having a night when we were about to make love, and there was like, the tension, and I just started crying. And it was like, I'm just so afraid. And you're just so
Well, tell
present.
the part right before that, because that's
Okay,
if you're
this
gonna
is,
drop
I
that, that's
know,
key to the.
So this is probably about a month ago. We were about to make love, and this is such a good, this is for the ladies and the men, but this is for the ladies specifically who are like, I just want to be ravished. I want to be
Yes.
domed. I want to be fucked up sideways and all around. I want to be thrown up against the wall. I was feeling that way. Like it was like that night where I was just like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about my feelings. I just want to be fucked so hard into oblivion that I cannot think and I cannot even feel. I want to be fucked out of all of this sensation and all of this, like, whatever I'm feeling. Like, I was so frustrated internally. And Oren, being the master that he is, as we go to make
Well,
love,
I don't know. This
let
is the
let
key part.
let me let
Well,
me
one
say,
little interject. So I felt that in you, and I was like, "What's going on?" I paused, and then you said, "I just want to be."
yeah. So we're like in bed, we're getting ready to make love, and he's being so soft and so slow and like moving like so just, yeah, like barely like touching me. And I'm getting more and more mad.
And I felt that.
I'm just like, I was like, I don't want this. Like, this is not what I want right now. And I just had I remember having all these thoughts like, oh my gosh, that I'm so tired of this. I don't want this. I want to be like fucked hard. Want you to like choke me or pull my hair. Like, do something. Like, just make, I don't want this. I was, and I told Oren that I was like, I don't want soft right now. Because I was like not getting turned on either, and he could feel that. And he looked at me in the eyes and I was like, this isn't what I want right now. And he was like, tell me something true.
Yes.
And as soon as he said that, he stopped and he looked at me and said, tell me something true. And in that moment, I burst into tears. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid. I'm so afraid. I don't know where we're going to live. I don't know where we're going to, our house is gone. I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know anything. I'm so afraid. And in the tears, he just held me in that, as he has many times before in these moments. And I could feel that part of me that just wanted to be fucked, wanted him to fuck the fear out of me, but that's not, or the frustration
Like
of
the
the
fear out of
fear.
you.
That's not, he's like, no, we're like, let's meet this. Let's do this together. And he, as I was crying, then we started to make love and bring the fear again into the field of love. The field of love holds it all. Making love to the fear. And oh my gosh, we had the most delicious love making ever. It was so good. And I'm so glad that he wasn't following my instruction and like being rough and rowdy. Like, I actually needed to feel. I wasn't fully feeling. That's such a thing.
Yeah, and when I said tell me something true, I mean, I wasn't thinking, but like when I go back to that moment, and I think this is an important nuance here because the concept, the idea of being ravished, being fucked, or, not wanting to talk, not wanting to, all these things in theory could be true, but the truth is a frequency. And I was like, whatever you're saying to me, it doesn't feel true. Not that it's invalid. I'm like, it doesn't, literally, it doesn't feel like the truth. It's like you're saying, this is my truth.
Yeah.
This is what I want. And how it feels in my body, in my being, I was like, it's not moving me.
Mm-hmm.
If it was the truth, I would be moved, especially if I'm present, which I was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's not moving me. It's not the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me something true.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you said, I'm afraid, all of this life force, which is what you're trying to get to, is the life force starts moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's an important thing. And like sometimes the feminine, or I've experienced this in the past, can play that card, and it feels like, well, I just want to be ravished. Or, even if it's like, oh, I'm afraid, well, then fuck that out of me. But that disconnect, which does translate as directing, like I'm telling you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's a disconnect, you are not in a state of receiving.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I were to like ravish you like physically, you wouldn't feel it fully. You wouldn't experience the fullness of it. So in which case it wouldn't even happen, really.
The deeper layer of this is, we could go into this and we will at some other point, but noticing that energy that is like a hungry ghost of like, I want more of this. Like, you're actually experiencing so much sensation, but you're not feeling it all the way. So you're like wanting more sensation to help you feel. But because it's not the truth, it actually just creates this almost like cycle of I need more. And so when you
Right.
see people like, I remember there was a period before we met, I was like, I want to be domed. I want to be this and that. I want that. And I remember having an experience where I got to have like kind of like the dom experience, and I was like, oh wait, I didn't. That's not what I. Wait, that wasn't what I wanted, because there was
Mm.
no, at least for this particular moment, there was no intimacy in it. And somebody asked me recently, like, what creates really hot, beautiful lovemaking? Like, how do you keep it hot, years in? And it's the truth. It's truth.
Truth.
It's not, I mean, bring in the fantasy, the play, the dom, the kink, like, yeah, all of it. Bring it in. But none of that can ever take you as far as true intimacy, like truth, the truth. Making love to your fucking beer.
Mm.
Never been wetter. So many, or like, fight me on this all you want. There is nothing that compares to merging with another human being in true intimacy. And I really believe that sometimes all of the kink and the play and the like constant needing to go into all these different realms and escapism is because there is an escapism from true intimacy. Now,
Mm.
if you're meeting the true intimacy and you choose to create those elements, that's an amplification. It can be so delicious, but if you always need it because there's not a true meeting of intimacy in the field and your love, that's something to pay attention to.
Mm. Mm. This is so good. And I love what you said about lack because that's how it felt to me in the moment. Like it's not enough. Even the first touch, right? It was just
Yeah.
like your being was like not receiving already. So then if you were like, well, I don't want soft, and I'm like, well, you're not even receiving. And here's the thing, this didn't happen, but I think this is worth mentioning here is that if you're in that this is not enough, then that energy is going to seek out inside of the man his I'm not doing enough. And then it's a perfect match. And if I had any morsel of that inside me, I would follow the direction. I would be like, oh, I'm not consciously or subconsciously, I'm not doing it right. I'm not pleasing her. I want to please her. I'm inadequate. I'm not. And then that's what would make the masculine then be like, oh, okay, cool. I'm taking feedback, right? I'm taking feedback. That's a good thing. She's expressing her needs and her desires. I'm a man. I'm a powerful man. I'm a sexually empowered man, and that's not sexual empowerment. It's not working. I'm not working is what's happening beneath the surface. So let me try to fulfill that, and you can't. Not in that context when it's not the truth. You literally can't.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how that happens in the masculine, and I know because I've done that in the past. I'm like, fuck, that it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It didn't
Mm-hmm.
it didn't work. Even if it brought some pleasure, it's like it's not fulfilling the pure desire
Mm-hmm.
that's actually in the feminine. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can guarantee there's going to be so much more of this goodness on this podcast because this is something that Oren and I could talk about for days and days and days. The subtle nuances and layers of sex and relationship and intimacy, and just these deeper spaces that we don't often get into. It's so much deeper, and this is like where we love to play in refinement of our relationship and when we work with other couples as well. So there's going to be so much goodness of these kinds of conversations on this podcast, and I'm excited because I think that there's just like it can be so black and white with the masculine and the feminine. It's like the feminine and the masculine and the polarity in this, and
right.
Orrin and I really, we definitely have, and this is what we believe in. What we believe in with relationship is it is absolutely so deeply, it's like your own relational blueprint. It's for you to actually uncover and unveil, and it's not just these very rigid systems. There are things that are like universal laws, yes, and simultaneously, one of the things I love about Oren is he loves me in my power. You said something to me the other day that shook me. You were like, I'm not the man that wants you to be submissive, and I'm also not the man that you can control. And I was just like the level of tension. I actually would love, do you remember what you said? It was so good.
No, do you remember the conversation in the
The
context?
context was a moment where I wanted you to be, I was like, you lead. I was having one of those moments where I was like, you lead. And you just looked at me and you were like, no. So clearly, so powerfully, you were like, I'm not the man that wants you to be a submissive wife. And I'm also not the man that you can control. I want you in your power and I want you to meet with me. Like you, the way you said it was so deep and so clear. And I was like, yes, daddy. But like, okay, panties are soaking.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it, reenacted it well.
Yeah.
I will just add to that to say that it's like the feeling is like stop acting right now. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're like, oh, I want to take your lead. I want your leadership. Give me the masculine. I'm in the feminine. It's like you're acting right now. You're acting like you're not. You don't know. You're disconnecting from your own wisdom.
It's called laziness.
Yeah. And I think that these things could get masked into the, oh, I'm just in my feminine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, no, that's not what's happening right now. You're playing a character.
Again, we could do a whole episode on this, and I'm sure we will. But this has been one of the speaking of the field, and meeting the leading edge of our field. I feel like one of the gifts that our relationship has brought us is like, when Orrin and I first met, I was in my boss babe era, making all the money, sovereign queen. Like actually, I'm pretty sure I had like a course on sovereignty or something at the time. It was like sensual sovereignty or something like that. And so like I was teaching sovereignty. I was living sovereignty. I was like, and that's beautiful. You want to get to a point where you understand what it means to be a sovereign being. And it shook me to my core to meet a man, to merge like these two big souls together who are super powerful. But it was like this whole recalibration in my system where, okay, now I'm not like I don't want to be the most powerful. I don't want to do it all on my own. But simultaneously, we went into like a little boomerang where I went into like a little bit of a housewife, like submissive. I'm like, oh, I want to be like a submissive housewife frolicking in the garden vibes. And we did that. Orrin was like, okay, babe, whatever you want. And we tried it out and it was not for me. Like I felt like in the elements of what and how we landed in it, I was like, my energy wasn't being utilized properly. I am here to be of service. I am here to share and speak. And when Orrin and I fell in love, it was like Orrin fell in love with a powerful woman, not a submissive woman. And it's an edgy conversation for us to bring because I loved when you said that. And I remember that. I'm like, you love me in my power. You love me in my creation, but not when I'm trying to overpower you. And I think there's these like, it's a very specific dynamic for us, but I think a lot of couples, like you're bringing two really big souls together. And how do you utilize that to create, So it's been really beautiful to watch and to feel you be like, I want all of you, I want more of you, and to truly hold that line in the field when it's like, no, it's not time for you to just lay like a dead fish on the floor and for me to carry you around. We're creating together. Right. We are creating together. We are both responsible in this relationship for the creation of our lives. You are the oracle. What do you see? How do you feel? What is the vision? And then yes, you bring it more into form. And I will say that you have provided a lot more in like the last year, and that's been really beautiful and supportive for my system. Mm-hmm. And simultaneously, it's so fun when we make money together. Like I realize that I love that too. I love making money together. So I feel like we'll do a whole episode on this because it's just so deep. And this is like our first one.
Yeah, that's a nice little teaser, a little preview to something that's really deep. And I love the distinction between like submission and surrender, right? And I think that when the lines get blurred and it becomes a gray area, it can be really misunderstood what it actually means. Like pure submission is really surrender. Mm-hmm. And it's not a giving away of your power. It's not a disconnecting from your center.
What is it?
It's letting go of control, like surrender. It's fully allowing, being completely receptive and trusting, right? And there's no formula when you're in that level of surrender, right? And that's why, like, if you are surrendering to me in a moment and surrendering to my leadership, It's not like it's either that or your leadership. It's just that you're fully allowing everything, including yourself. And that's why if an impulse of clarity or truth or desire comes through you while you're submitting, surrendering to me, then if you're in a true state of surrender, you're also surrendered to that impulse,
Mm-hmm.
which means it's trying to manifest itself. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like, oh, well, now I'm surrendered to you, and so forget about me, in a state of unity. And I did want to say one more thing about unity to bookmark when we dive into the sexiness in the future more, is that I feel like there's this misunderstanding of unity, the same type of misunderstanding of love and of God that can be kind of like fluffy, one sided perception that in unity there's no polarity. Like if you're in a state of divine union, or if you come to this state of like surrender and allowing and merging, and it couldn't be further from the truth. It is like the quintessential possibility of polarity. And I think that sometimes people believe that, oh, if I am in this union state, you know what I mean, that it's going to somehow lack aliveness. But like, look at nature.
Mm-hmm.
Even when it's still, it's dynamic, it's
Mm-hmm.
explosive, it's life itself. So to
Mm-hmm.
think that that kills polarity
Mm-hmm.
is again, it's a misunderstanding of love, of God, of truth, a distorted perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like what I've gotten to experience in our relationship and what I see in true unions is it's the masculine and the feminine getting to express so fully and liberated and freely and entirely how God designed us to be. So it's like this ecstatic, just like, yes, it's like in such harmony and synergy that it's not like we need to create this tension to then create more polarity, which sometimes can be great, right? Sometimes that's beautiful, but there's this, yeah, it's more of an ecstatic, eternal, just like orgasmic bliss that comes from the true union field. It's like this total synergistic. It's almost like if you could imagine having a giant orgasm from tension or an eternal orgasm that's like a continual flow of energy. That
Mm.
is how union feels to me. It's like, oh, right, you could have like one giant delicious experience from creating a lot of tension and then like the polarity that creates.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the union field that we have, it feels like this continual pulse of a a long eternal bliss field, an orgasmic field. It's different. And yeah, it's like because the masculine and the feminine are in this state where we're so deeply in our true template and nature, and not only in that but continuing to open and allow and expand and explore, like that's what union is to me. It's the essence of becoming together eternally, of continuing to discover God. So there's no end. And with polarity teachings, when you're just playing within the realm of tension and polarity, you're going to hit up against an edge. You're going to hit up against a point where there's nowhere else for it to go. With union, it's a continual becoming. There are no edges, there are no bounds, there are no limits, there are no spaces that love cannot move into and find. And so it's this continual expression of, oh, we're discovering God through one another. And it just keeps going.
Boom. I feel like we're at a good completion point. Yeah. Good job, Boo Crew.
We did it.
We did it. Yeah, it's felt amazing.
Yeah, we're excited. And, speaking to one of the constants of this conversation was the field. That's what you can really begin to learn and receive and come into these conversations. Our conversations will always be dynamic and different because we'll be listening to the field and what wants to come through instead of like planning a whole map out of, our notes of what we think we need to bring and setting up a whole thing. It's like we listen to the field, we serve the field, and we'll bring through
Hmm.
what wants to come through in the moment.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say that is that learning, like one of the purest ways of learning, and we knew this when we were children, is absorption. It's permeating something. It's being in the actual field of something. So beyond, tools and techniques and ideas that we offer, like being intimate with us while we're being intimate holds a frequency that there's so much that can be learned just from. It's one of the simplest, greatest life hacks is just to be intimate with and in the field of resonance with something that you resonate with.
So, we absolutely love you. Since this is our first podcast ever, it would mean so much to us if you would subscribe, if you would leave us a review, if you would share with us what you want to see and listen to. You can send us a DM and say, I'd love to hear you guys talk about this. Like, we're here to, again, be of service to the field, but also this is for you to get a behind the scenes of all of the conversations that we're always having about deepening and refining and listening and expanding into the field of our love and God and art and creation. And yeah, we're excited to see what this becomes.
Yes.
And we love you so much. So, so, so much. So we'll see you for episode 2.